and unity to you and your family. My name is Seminarian Jared Onyango from the Catholic Diocese of Homa Bay. I invite you to reflect with me on the readings of Fourth Sunday in Ordinary Time, guided by the theme, Beatitudes, the way to true happiness. Today, the readings emphasize on virtuous life. They focus majorly on humility, trust in God, and the Beatitudes as the true path to happiness and holiness. In the first reading, Zechariah speaks to us and says, "Seek the Lord, all you humble of the earth. Seek justice, seek humility." God promises to preserve a humble and lowly people who take refuge in Him. The psalm reminds us that blessed are the poor in spirit. The kingdom of heaven is theirs. The psalm praises God who upholds justice, lifts up the lowly, and protects the oppressed. In the second reading, Paul tells the Corinthians that God chose the foolish of the world to shame the wise. This means that our worth comes not from worldly wisdom or power, but from God's grace in Christ. In the Gospel, Jesus proclaims the values of the kingdom: poverty of spirit, meekness, mercy, purity, and peace. On these readings, we reflect on the following points. 1. Humility before God. Zephaniah calls the people to seek humility, assuring that the faithful remnant, those who depend on God and not themselves, will find protection and peace. In a world that celebrates pride and self-assertion, this message reminds us that holiness begins in recognizing our dependence on God. 2. God's wisdom and worldly wisdom. Paul's message to the Corinthians is that God often works through what the world sees as weak and insignificant. The poor, the uneducated, the humble, to show that salvation is God's gift, not a human achievement. The cross itself is the ultimate sign of divine wisdom and contradicts worldly expectations. 3. The Beatitude as the blueprint for Christian living. In the Gospel, Jesus opens the Sermon on the Mount with the Beatitudes. That is, a series of blessings that reveal the attitude and values of those who belong to God's kingdom. They describe not mere moral ideals, but the lived reality of discipleship. The poor in spirit rely entirely on God. The meek respond to evil not with violence, but with gentleness. The merciful mirror God's compassion. The pure of heart seeks integrity and truth. The peacemakers embody God's reconciling love. Those who suffer for righteousness share in Christ's own mission. Jesus calls these people blessed not because their life is easy, but because they live in communion with God and His promise of eternal joy. As Christians today, the readings challenges us to redefine success and happiness. In a culture obsessed with wealth, image, and influence, the Beatitudes propose a radically different vision, and that honors humility, mercy, and faithfulness. To live by Beatitudes is to trust God and His blessings, to trust that God's blessing often comes hidden in life's struggles, that His kingdom is already present among the poor, the gentle, and the peacemakers. The family that prays together stays together.